Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of StarrCast, diving more into issues important to wellness professionals. So today we have a guest who has such a broad array of experience. It's amazing, actually, when you read her biography. So I'm going to do that in a moment, but first I will introduce Celine Vadam, who I guess your most recent title is CEO of We Think Wellness Tourism. All right. Well, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Celine has been working in wellness for many years. She came from a hospitality background, positions with Four Seasons, with Horwath as a consultant. She has an MBA in tourism management. She studied sustainability at Harvard, hospitality real estate at Cornell, and has many certifications on wellness activities if you check out her LinkedIn page. She loves to travel and discover new cultures, and so she's probably perfect to be in the wellness industry. Celine, tell us a little bit about your career path. How did you go this way? I mean, when you left your primary schooling, what did you plan to be when you grew up?
So I always wanted to find a way to help people and travel. I grew up in a place where I was mixed with different people from different cultures, different countries of origin, different religions. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed getting to know about different, like all these different cultures. And I think that's where my travel bug started. And I've always had like a very curious mindset and exploring and very social too. And I started in tourism because I thought that tourism was a very interesting tool to help countries, to help people, to help them develop and to help them like come across like different cultures and get their places or their locations also like discovered by other people, like not in a trashy touristy way, but more in the sense of, like getting to meet people and discovering, in a more discovery way. And so I thought that tourism was a very good tool to bring more infrastructures and progress, and also like put the light on and make other people discover other cultures. So that's where I was coming from originally.
I was going to ask, where did you grow up?
I grew up in France. So I was born in south of France, but I grew up in east of France, so close to Switzerland and Germany. And there, it's very industrial. It's the countryside, but at the same time, it's very industrial. It's the home of Peugeot, the manufacturing company. And so I had lots of friends with parents being immigrants from North Africa, like Senegal, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Italy, Portugal, the West Indies, the Caribbean. So I was really like raised with this like melting pot area. Poland, like different people from different places. And so, and I found that really fascinating, and how, like how sometimes, and I think it's so relevant in today's world where some people try to separate us, but you really see like this community aspect and what are all the things that make us similar, but at the same way, like with different interpretations. And, well, we can go a bit deeper into that later, but that's also what attracted me in working with Blue Zones, because when you look at Blue Zones, and I think it's something that's maybe not highlighted enough, but the cool thing for me about Blue Zones is learning about how like different people, yes, it's the people who live the longest, have the highest concentration of centenarians across the world, but what's really behind it for me, it's that really discovering how like with the same pillars, like the same lifestyle pillars, you have different interpretations depending on where you are in the world, depending on the culture. And at the end of the day, like everybody wants the same thing. They want to have like healthy, happy, and loving lives. And so there's so many ways to interpret that or to like illustrate that depending on where you are in the world, but like really at the very core and basic level, like this is it. And so then you have like different foods or different cuisine and different activities that you can do, or like different arts and crafts that you can do, different modalities. But then the core is still the same everywhere. So let's going back to my path. So I started in tourism development. So I was working for Howat after my MBA, working on tourism and hospitality development projects. And I really like hotels because they are like a mini town, like inside, like under one roof, you have so many different expertise and different type of people. And you can have also, I think the hospitality industry can have such a like big and deep impact. It's really a place where you have people coming from different places, staying for a few days and like really interacting with each other. And you have this very like big ripple effect on guests, but you also have the employees. You also have the local community. So you really have like a very special entity. It's like a little village under like one spot. You can create your own little ecosystem. And so there's so much that you can do at a hotel level that can have such an important impact to like other guests or your community or your employees and their families. When I was studying sustainability, and so I founded also the hospitality think tank, which is now going back under WeThink because I only have so much time and I can't deal with too many social media accounts and websites. So that's really like why I'm just putting it back under WeThink. But during the conversations we were having around how to bring more sustainability in the wide sense of the word to hotels. You know, like some people learned about certain things or certain initiative from friends. So it's not just you going to a place and experiencing it. It's then you have your friends telling you about it or employees working in a place telling you about it. So that's what I mean by this ripple effect, because then it makes you think, like my friend was in this hotel. I think someone talked about at some point about a hotel in Colombia, where they were talking about the importance of water in the country and why it's important to be a bit mindful when you shower or when you use water, because it's a very scarce resource. And, you know, like having this story, you know, like go to other people and there are other people, and then like planting a seed to other people's mind who now, like when they take a shower, but like, hey, I remember my friend or the friend of a friend of a friend talked about this story about this. Yeah, it can have such a strong impact on people's lives.
So you worked at Horwath as a consultant, but you were so attracted to hotels. It looks like that's when you went in-house with Four Seasons after that.
Yes, yeah. I worked for Four Seasons, and so when I started at Four Seasons, I was covering Europe, Middle East, and Africa on the development team. So I was working on all the new projects across this very wide area. But then I started to ask lots of questions. I've always loved food and F&B and also wellness. So I was constantly in touch with global operations to the point where they told me, look, as you seem to like our work so much, why don't you help us? So I started to work on them on specific projects. I worked on the global F&B strategy. And then like I started to work on the global wellness strategy that included also like healthy F&B, like what healthy F&B for Four Seasons means. And I was exposed to, and I talked to a lot of nutritionists and dietitians and trying to understand how we can set up a program that at the same time has core values that are very impactful, but at the same time leave chefs space for creativity and for using local ingredients and reflecting local food. In that perspective, I also worked with Global Wellness Day on like healthy food around the world, like paper that I've done. So I asked people across the globe, like their ambassadors across the globe, to send us recipes, healthy recipes
fun.
from their countries. Yeah, it's still available on the internet, actually, on global web. I think it's on We Think website, actually. And asking them to send recipes from all these different places. And I had a panel of chefs, some Michelin star chefs, and to vote for like the best recipe for each region. And so you have the best recipe for each region, and then the other recipes, and it's all healthy recipes. So the idea behind that, and like continuing in my passion for kind of showing that wellness can be done everywhere in different ways. That was a way to show that, yeah, you can have healthy food everywhere. You don't need, maybe it's not quinoa, or maybe it's beetroot, or maybe it's garlic, and maybe it's not matcha. It's, but locally you already have all the resources that you need. Like most of the time, of course, there are certain places that have food desert, etc. We're not going into this, but mostly like for each country don't really need to get these like superfoods from everywhere, because if you dig a little bit to what are the resources that you have where you are, you already have a lot of things that you can use.
It's true. And especially when it comes to travel, I think guests want to have the foods and the experiences and the rituals in spa and wellness that are specific to the region they're visiting, because they want to learn that. They want to learn those things. So, Celine, you're obviously driven by curiosity on a big scale. You have certifications in breath work as a yoga instructor, as an integrative health coach. You've studied food and beverage and hospitality and tourism and hotel industry. I mean, so many things. So you have combined this all into We Think, which I think the name is really fun. The website is wei-think.com, but it's spelled WEI with parentheses around it. Tell us about how you founded We Think and what your purpose was.
Yeah. So when I founded We Think, the idea was to create not just like a normal consulting company where clients come, they have a project, you do a report, you give that to them, and bye. Do whatever you want after. The idea was really to have a collaborative approach. Hence the name We Think. So it's like a play of words with wellness, environment, and innovation, but also this idea that we together come up with something. Like it's like this really collaborative process. And also like having this, instead of having this like cookie cutter approach where and copy paste approach, really like digging into, okay, like where are we? What do you want to build? Like what's your vision? What's differentiating your project versus other project? Like I have so many people who come to me with this innovative thing, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this with this and this, and it's like, yeah, like I've already had like 10 things with similar highlights on my desk. What makes your project special?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I want to do with my clients, like how can they bring something that's really authentic and that's also transformative, like through all also the modalities I've studied. A lot of it is about empowerment and transformation. And so how can I, through my work and the projects I'm designing, help people live like healthier, longer, happier, and more fulfilling lives? I went from doing some work more on the development side, so working more on the business plan and the commercial plan and the infrastructures, all the way to creating content, creating retreats and experiences. And so I also deliver retreats. So it gives me like an instant feedback loop between like what I'm creating like physically and its impact at a personal level for guests. And I think that today, like, that's especially keeping in mind this this curiosity and the people wants to learn. Like they see so many things on the internet. There's so much information. It's hard to know what's true, what's not true anymore. So being able to go to somewhere and experience something and really feeling it, feeling the benefits of it, it's really reinforcing the sense of the importance of the place, the importance of the experience, also the relationship, I guess, with between the client and the property. And if you're able to create those kind of spaces now, like that's where I think there's a big opportunity for hotels and spas to create this loyalty, this returning guests, these guests that will be their best ambassadors, because they will be able to like experience firsthand this transformation, this authenticity, this impact on themselves, and then they will be able to trustfully share it.
Well, there's so much there to unpack about what you said. I mean, creating wellness destinations is obviously, there's a lot to it, and it depends on the region and the people they hope to attract. There are so many in the world now. There are so many wonderful resort hotels in far-flung places. But you said earlier, what's different, right? How do you take what's in a property, geography, culture, climate, and add something that makes it different so that it stands out from the others? What's a method to approach that challenge?
I think that first I go to research, because when you look at all, like there's a lot of beautiful properties around the world for sure. But when you dig a little bit deeper, you see that there's a lot of copy pasting. There's a lot of things that look beautiful, but at the core, in the essence, if you scratch a little bit the surface, there's not really any depth. Or you have like a lot of facilities, but you arrive there and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Where do I start? So my approach is really to create like the customer journey for me is very important, and really like supporting and like taking the guest by the end from the beginning, from start to finish, and really like show them like what would be more beneficial for them. Also like helping my clients understand things. Like people come to me and say, I want to do something. I want to do like a longevity, like a longevity program, or like bring more longevity into my spa. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Like longevity from what angle? This is longevity. This is what we mean like biologically in terms of longevity. These are different modalities and the effect of each modality. Where do you want to go from there? What exactly do you want to, do you want to go more into lifestyle or more into medical, or like how much support do you want to bring guests also along the way? And so there's a lot of fine tuning. I think that the difference really is between different places is in the fine tuning and the defining exactly what you're offering. And, I had friends who went to these like wellness resorts who were super disappointed because it was too medical. And it's like, I had the impression to be in a hospital. I had this schedule and of course, maybe I had a meditation class, but I felt like in a hospital. Or like, and so being clear about what you are, what you want to offer, and really like fine tuning the experience to make sure that guests understand what they're doing and what are the benefits of what they're doing. Also in terms of, in a more practical term, like what's also more beneficial for the guests operationally, that it will be working smoothly, and also it will make sense financially, because sometimes you go to spas and it's just a duplication of different modalities that do exactly the same thing. So what's the added value of that? Instead of having a sauna and a steam room who, in terms of health benefits, are very similar, could you do maybe just one but better? Or like just pick one and then have something else on top? Or so like, how can you make sure that the benefits of the experience are there versus ticking boxes and being like, yeah, everybody has both, so we should have both, for example, if we talk about the sauna and steam room example.
Well, you bring up a good point about the medical, Celine, because we are seeing the merging of medical and wellness as we would, right? I mean, people want to know that things work. And so we look to the medical field for data, studies, et cetera. It's why the wellness evidence site from Global Wellness is so important. We can look for the data on the various modalities. And you're right. I think many consumers don't know that some places are more medical and some are less. But there's often some medical angle to it, right? And you maybe want that, but how medical do you want it to be? As we can continue to merge wellness and medical, we're going to have to find a fine line in between for the hospitality piece, right? So it doesn't feel like a hospital, but it has medical grade personnel and equipment and results, of course.
And also, like going back to the topic of longevity, there are studies now that shows that sleep is important and for longevity and reducing your stress level is. So would you consider, like beyond the medical, I think that backed up by science is important. So maybe you can create a longevity experience that involves reading a book, involves like spending time in nature, or so you don't have to have the medical per se, but you can still have some very strong benefits without having to do like extreme or like these very highly medical protocols.
You have a discussion about Welltech on your website. The amplitude of interventions and formats of Welltech, from beauty to health to fitness, the science behind it, what are the most effective tools versus gimmicks, and how hotels and resorts can use Welltech to expand their services and take better care of guests. Let's expand on that. How is Welltech? Is it separate from medical? Is it partly in medical? How do you see that?
I think it's both. Like some of the Welltech tools are linked to medical, some not. And I think the important part is that it needs to be backed up by science, because that's what's going to separate things that are gimmicks, that things that are serious. And when I mean backed by science, I mean like a research not done just on 10 people, like that's not a big enough sample to prove something is working, right? So just, learning to read the little lines at the end, like how many people are in this research? Okay. And I think that Welltech provides a good opportunity. Like now the field has improved so much. There's a lot to the point that it can be very overwhelming for hotels. To be honest, like what's good, what's not good. But I've seen some good return on investment on Welltech. Like it's working. People now are more accepting of using Welltech in a spa or in a wellness environment. And some tools are very efficient. They are very good results. It's also like the wellness industry, they have a big issue with staffing. And so like having also some Welltech equipment can help also reduce the pressure on staffing. And so I think it's a good, like when I look at projects and when it's relevant, I like to see where I can add Welltech, not for the sake of adding Welltech, but pre-treatment, for example. It can be nice because when you go to a massage, the first 15 to 30 minutes, you're going through your to-do list. You're so much in your mind that it's hard to really enjoy, and then you start enjoying the massage like only for the 30 last minutes. So what if you start by doing even maybe like a 5-minute meditation pods that are very powerful, and then like when you go to your massage, you're already in a much more relaxed state and you can enjoy it much more. And so like how can you use these little tools not to replace the human interaction or to replace to replace the human touch, but to enhance it, to make the experience more enjoyable, more profound. Another thing that I found also in the industry, so now you also have more like healing modalities. It's not just modalities for like tempering or feeling good, but we've added some healing modalities, which is great. But the issue I found with that is that most of the time, the people on property are not trained to hold space for people going through healing. And
that's very true.
Yeah. And so what I mean is like, if you have someone coming for a 1 hour yoga class or Reiki class or whatever, and then they leave, it's a different context than when you have someone, especially when you have properties hosting retreats or like where they offer like different kinds of healing modalities. If you don't have a trained expert to be able to hold space and hold this safe container for guests to be able to have these transformations, it can be very harmful.
So how does a hotel or a spa, for that matter, that wants to expand more into Welltech, what are some tips for them to know what sort of equipment they should look at? I mean, because it's, all of this expertise is new to all of us, and it's difficult to know what makes sense in your own property.
Well, it goes back to, like, for me, one of the fundamentals of every project is the concept. What is your concept? What's your story? What storytelling do you want to bring? What's the soul of your property? Because with that, then you can see, okay, so this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want guests to experience. And then from there, going backwards to see, okay, what are the modalities or what are the technologies that I can use to reach that? But trying to just do the other way around and being, oh yeah, I've heard this technology is really cool and trendy. Let's put that. That's where you lose your essence. And that's where you lose the coherence of your property.
No, you make a good point. Always considering your core concept and whether things fit for you or not. And then, of course, there's, how do you deploy it? How do you market it? Train people on it? And then, it does have to be monetized at some point. So let's talk about longevity again, because that's the hot word right now. Everyone wants it, but we don't know if we have it. I'm always thinking when I'm asked about longevity, it's like, I'll know if I have done a good longevity practice. Ask me when I'm 90 and I can tell you that it worked, but I don't know now. What do you think is driving this interest, and how can we incorporate it without going off onto the medical side?
This is not new, like throughout history, like mankind always wanted to live longer. Or, like to be immortal, or, like what's the name in English? The Fontaine de Jouvence.
The fountain of youth.
Exactly, the fountain of youth, for all these things that you could do to fight aging, basically. And so I think now, like the little twist, or like the reframing, is that the idea is not necessarily to live until 100, although for some people it is, but it's more like we've realized that now, like, people live longer than before, but they are getting sick earlier. So the lifespan is expanding, which is the amount of years you living, but your health span, which is the number of healthy years you're living, is reducing. And so now I think that really the focus is in longevity, not just living longer, but living healthy years longer. So being sick as late as possible. And so that's where, like, and the interesting thing, and also that's what's interesting for me, like working with Blue Zones, is that a lot of these longevity things are a lot of them is common sense, to be honest. A lot of them, it's not groundbreaking, or it's not like this flashy or this like super, I don't know, these flashy methods or anything. It's a lot of the things are very simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. And the thing that I've seen also, so I've been leading Blue Zones retreats across the globe now with lots of people. And there's interesting thing is that the people who come to those retreats have very different profiles. I had people from all over the world, a lot of people from the US because Blue Zones is based in the US, but I had people from Asia, from Europe, from South America, all ranges. So I delivered the retreats to people from 20-year-old to 80 plus year old, women, men, people coming as couples with families, just by themselves or with a group of friends. So really, like, I was surprised to see like the range of interest for that specific topic. And the other interesting thing that I found is that, so what makes it not easy these days to implement those things is that things are like, we gain comfort, which is great, but at the same time, this comfort took out from us some uncomfortable things, but that at the end of the day were like healthy for us. For example, washing dishes, like some people find it relaxing. I'm not one of these people. But the thing about like washing dishes is that it makes you move. Now you put things in the dishwasher is cleaning the thing. So it's bringing you more comfort. You don't have to wash the dishes, but at the same time, it's taking away from you these few minutes of movement that you would have to do. So that's a basic example, but you can use like you have so many other examples, like the car, or like my grandpa never had to think about going to the gym because the cars were not developed when he was growing up. So his options were either to
take your bike,
walk or take the bike. Exactly. And so now, like, we have to intentionally integrate things into our lives that we didn't have to integrate before because it was kind of blended in already. So these things about moving naturally, like today it looks more like, well, I have to go to the gym, or I have to make sure that every hour I just walk and even go to the bathroom or whatever, but just move.
Because we sit at our desk otherwise. We sit at our desk all day. We're not out there gardening and raising animals and growing our food and all of the things that they did have to do. I'm interested, Celine, in what happens on a Blue Zone retreat. I mean, you take a group of people. Do you go to a Blue Zone area? Because just visiting one doesn't, lend the health effects of it, But what happens on a Blue Zones retreat? How long are they? And what sorts of things do people do while they're with you?
Yeah, so the Blue Zones retreat, basically when I worked with Blue Zones on the Blue Zones retreat program, I took all the Blue Zones retreat research, all the Blue Zones research from the books, and now we have the Netflix documentary, etc. And also all the years of research working with communities. So Blue Zones works with probably 80 now. There were 75 plus communities across the US in implementing policies and helping with reshaping the infrastructures and working with people, etc., in all these communities, and like tracking like very like a range of KPIs to see like how kind of recreating part of the environment in the Blue Zones locations into those communities, taking into account modern life, but recreating, I don't know, walking paths, so people have more opportunities to walk or places to socialize, etc. And so I took all of these with my health and lifestyle coaching background into creating something where people don't just learn about Blue Zones, but have the space to think about how could I recreate my own blue zones at home or for my own life. And like, what does that mean? Like, how does that look like? So we have modules on stress and how the brain and the nervous system work. We have a module on purpose and like what does it mean, and some exercises around it.
And you do these on the retreat, like you do these modules or these exercises? Purpose is such a good one. I think so many people have lost their sense of purpose in life, and we don't have time to explore it, and yet it's fundamental to know what that is.
Yeah. So the retreats are really a good opportunity to pause, be surrounded with like-minded people, like being in this safe space and where you have also people sharing their experience, because sometimes we feel so isolated, or we feel like, oh, this is me and it's only me who's going through that. And then by talking with other people, you realize that, oh yeah, actually I've been through something like that myself, or I'm currently going through this thing, or oh, this is something I've tried and it really worked for me. Maybe you can try it. And so yeah, we have all these modules, and then we also have so it's not just in the Blue Zones location. So also I'm doing the retreat in Costa Rica, in Okinawa. We have additional Blue Zones locations that haven't been announced yet, but are coming for 2026. But we're also doing it in other locations. I'm doing the first Blue Zones retreats for this year will be actually in Kamalaya in Thailand in May. I've done a retreat in New York, which is going to come back also this year. So the idea is also for New York, for example, for Kamalaya is a bit different because it's blending this Blue Zones knowledge with all the knowledge and the expertise they already have around Ayurveda. And so like seeing how Ayurveda and the holistic approach of Ayurveda and this beautiful place in Thailand can also give additional tools to the people who are called to this. In New York, the idea was to say, okay, like it's not because being in an urban environment is not an excuse. It's actually a great opportunity, because when you think about it, in a place like New York, you have access to so many things. You have access to all the healthy stores you want, all the yoga classes. You have Central Park. So we had a really cool walk in Central Park with like goal setting. So the fact that we were using the cognitive approach, like going through the goals, and the somatic approach with the movement, it really helps like bring the two together and go faster into the process. And so at the end of the walk, people came with concrete action points to certain goals they set. We had Pilates, we had we do some cooking classes during the retreats, we do some art and craft. Something very simple, like in Costa Rica, we did, actually I have it here. You know, we did this. We had this ceramic pot, and we were in the outside, like in this patio, and it was so with the noise of nature, and it was so chilled. And at the end of this session, everybody was, I feel so calm and rested. And this was so simple, but just the fact to take the time to do this and to like sit down and just be focused on that. And it's really, again, it's easy, but it doesn't mean that we do it.
Well, simple and not easy, right? We might say it's really simple. It feels like humanity has lost its way. I mean, these were things that were normal parts of life, and now we're so addicted to holding our oblong device in our hand and staring at it all day that we have forgotten how to do so many simple things like take a break, take a walk, practice breathing, listen to nature, all of that. It's funny that we have to go on a retreat to be reminded, how to behave as humans.
Yeah. I think socializing and eating are the two big ones. Like a lot of people now don't know how to cook, and like how to like enjoy eating as well. Like just take the time to eat and enjoy what you eat, and also socializing, like talking to each other, intentionally listening to what someone else is saying and not just trying to be the one like leading the show. So yeah, it's like some skills that are important, and slowing down. Like I have like during when we talk in the module about stress and the nervous system, a big thing like in the Blue Zones verbiage, they call it downshifting, which is a fancy way to say like just resting. But it's something that it's hard for us to do. And like there's research that shows how, the impact of meditation on your nervous system, or even for kids, like how allowing them to be bored is very important for their cognitive development and to develop their creativity. But we try to pack their schedule or our schedules with so many things that we don't allow us this time and this space to just be bored and think and be creative.
No, that's a great observation. It's very true. I'm sure I was guilty of it with my kids too. They're having this activity and that activity. You want to expose them to things to see what they're interested in. But you're right, there's no space to just sort of discover on your own. And I think they don't develop that skill, as they become adults. If they're not in a schedule, they don't really know what to do with themselves. It's a little bit sad, but hopefully we can get it back at some point. So we think consultancy, who are the ideal clients for you?
It's an interesting question. So I work a lot with with hotel developers who have like a hotel or resort projects. I also work with hotel chains who want to like put together a wellness program or wellness strategy. I also work with hotels who want to like redesign their wellness offering. So we think is my B2B, the B2B side of my company. I also have Retrouvailles, which is this idea of reconnecting with yourself. And that's more my B2C company, where I do more like of the retreats. So I do more of these, creating content for hotels or creating retreat programs that can be led either by me, or I can try other people to deliver them. And so working, with hotel chains around that. Also, I do a lot of speaking in public speaking, or speaking at conferences and retreats. So we're launching this year corporate retreats for corporations and groups who want to go through retreats. So I do the Blue Zones retreat, but I also do other retreats that are not necessarily under Blue Zones, and that can be customized to the angle or the approach that the hotel or the property or the company wants to do. So I've done one in Sardinia with Belmont at the Grand Hotel Timeo, and this one was around the chakras. So it was 7 days. Every day was linked to a different chakras, and
I love it.
I like working with the chakras because the name chakra can be a little bit off-putting for certain people, but it's a very structured system and very progressive. So you really go through like your foundations, your roots, and then you go up to your emotions, to your relationships, your communication, your creativity. So you can really build it's like building a strong house, you start with the foundation and then you bring it up. And every day we were focusing on one chakra with activities and like lifestyle coaching, and even the food was tailored for the chakra. And it's what I love when I do the retreats is to see how people transform from the day they arrive to throughout the retreats and to the day they finish. And the magic operates every single time. Like every single time. Even sometimes there are groups that are a bit more challenging from the beginning than others. But again, this idea of fine tuning and this idea of having like a journey. So once you have the journey or the process that is strong, then it works every time.
Well, I'm sure it's also due to your enthusiasm and knowledge and skill, but you're right. It is so great to see the light bulb go on. And I applaud your effort to have wellness in everyone's life globally. You're certainly doing everything you can. For those who want more information on Celine, you can connect with her on LinkedIn or go to her website, wei-think.com. She's got courses, a magazine, her own podcast. You're a busy lady. So thank you again for joining us, Celine. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.